I was just sitting while with my spray gun. MC told me don't cuff that. She think I'll leave her alone cause I told her I love her.
Cobain death was a homicide. We knew this already. Bro, listen, the Nirvana community, Kurt Cobain, we all knew this already, bro. We all knew his wife killed him. That's no new. That's not news, bro. And I'm gonna tell you why, bro. I'm gonna tell y'all why. When they did the forensics on his body. So the story goes. This is the story, apparently. This is the story, bro. He came out of rehab. He snuck out of rehab. That was in LA. He snuck out of rehab. That was in LA. He flew to Seattle, which is where he lived. He lived in Seattle. He lived in this house. And there was like a main house, and then there was like a I don't know what do you call it, like a guest house in the backyard or something. There was people in the house, like his friends, babysitting like his daughter or something in the crib. And Kurt was in the guest house, bro. In the guest house. He was there for 3 days. You telling me nobody saw him for 3 days? Nobody saw the people that was living in the house didn't see him for 3 days. He just snuck into his own house. He sneaks into his own house. And after 3 days, they find his body. They did the forensics on his body, bro. This dude did a ridiculous amount of heroin before he killed himself. Like an insane amount, bro. Like, bro, I'm talking about like 5 or 6 times like the average overdose. That ass, bro. How the fuck is you gonna take all that heroin, bro? How you gonna take all that heroin and then be conscious enough or be like aware enough to shoot yourself in the head? Make that shit make sense. And the crazy part is, when they went to go find him, the shotgun was laid perfectly next to him, next to like his box of heroin, which was neatly put away. Everything was just neatly there. Conveniently, everything was just conveniently like put away, like neatly and nicely. You telling me this dude shot up the amount of heroin that he did, put all this shit away, neatly back into his box, grabbed the shotgun, like a long ass shotgun too, and just did this, bro? Like, come on. Someone is lying, bro. Someone is lying, bro. Someone is lying, bro. This brother did not kill himself, bro. Someone's lying, bro. Someone gotta be lying, bro. Someone gotta be lying, bro. You telling me no one heard a gunshot? You telling me he put all of his shit neatly away? Bruh, you telling me he was just conveniently laid out in the middle of the floor? Yeah, alright, buddy. Yeah, okay, buddy. Alright, man. Come on, man. Lock in, bro. That shit go deep, bro. And you know what's funny, bro? There was a dude who admitted to doing it, to killing him. Or not to killing him. He admitted to Courtney Love, who was his wife at the time, called him or came up to him, offering him the hit. Was like, yo, I'll pay you X amount of dollars if you know what I'm saying? I'm not bullshitting, bro. On everything I love. 2 days after the documentary came out of him admitting this, he died. Someone killed him. No bullshit. Someone killed him, bro. On everything I love, bro. On everything I love, bro. The dude who admitted to his wife putting out the hit on him literally got killed like the next day or the day after. Bro, this shit, bro. Someone's lying, bro. That ass, bro. Someone is lying, bro. Keep it buck. Someone is lying, bro. This shit go deep, bro. Let me see what you're talking about here, man.
His rock star Kurt Cobain.
Suicide.
Cobain's wife.
It's April 8th, 1994, the day the music world stopped.
The lead singer of Nirvana, one of the world's most popular rock bands, has been found dead at his home in Seattle.
The scene looked tragically.
Apparently a self-inflicted wound. We are awaiting the medical examiner's report.
Within hours, the narrative was locked in. The headlines were printed and the case was closed.
Audio.
Except there was one problem.
In a cover story in the January, Cobain said that he'd never been happier in his life.
That's facts. He did an interview saying, bro, I've never been happier in my life. He had a daughter at the time, bro. Like, I ain't gonna lie. I will say this. I think he had like 2 attempts before this. Before this happened, he had 2 attempts. One was like after they took away his kid, and then the other one, I think it was accidental. Like he did this shit right here.
Nirvana.
This night, he overdosed this night. The same night he skipped the party and he just went to his hotel to shoot up. Fuck. Yeah. But he already tried it twice. But this was like, look here. This is what I'll say. I will say this. Did the dude probably do heroin and overdose? Probably, maybe. But why would he shoot himself though? It just don't make sense, bro.
According to the toxicology report, Kurt Cobain was so high that he couldn't move a finger, let alone pull the trigger.
Well, it's possible if you believe that it's possible to stand on a rooftop and flap your arms and fly.
This was the PI. This was a private investigator. I forgot who hired him. I think it was I don't remember who hired him. He's a PI. He's a private investigator. And bro, he had been, at this point, I think he had been like he was a detective for like 20 or 30 years. At this point, he was like a detective for 20 or 30 years. And he was always known that he had a good reputation. It wasn't like he was crazy or like he just came up with random theories. He wrote a fucking book about this shit, bro. Deadass.
And it's only one of many pieces of evidence that doesn't seem to add up. We dug into the original forensics. We listened to all the interviews. We read the books about the case. And one question keeps coming back. If Kurt Cobain didn't kill himself, then who did? But just recently, someone came forward. Someone who claims to have seen exactly what happened.
I did not hear about this.
Let me tell you a story. This video is based on publicly available info, news reports, and online commentary. Your discretion is advised. Detective Donald Cameron had seen hundreds of bodies in his career. When he arrives at the scene on Lake Washington Street, he sees a lifeless body, a shotgun, and a note. By 5 p.m. the same day, he declares the case closed.
Everything that the detectives encountered
Same day, bro. Same day.
indicated to them that this was a...
And if you think about...
Bro, y'all know how... Bro, Jensen, you trying to be in law. You know how this shit works, bro. Forensics, anything like that, bro. That shit takes time, bro. It takes time for shit like that to happen. You feel me? Like, bro.
It makes sense. If you find body with the suicide note laying around, it clearly shouts that it was a self-harm.
Understandable. That's understandable. You're right. You're right. But to close the case? Come on.
Besides, everyone back then knew that Kurt Cobain dealt with mental health problems.
I've been going to doctors for 6 years, and I've tried every drug. I mean, it'd been going on and building up for so many years that I was, suicidal. I mean, I just didn't want to live.
The note was addressed to Boda, Kurt's imaginary childhood friend, and in it he talked about losing his passion for music and about how his daughter Frances would be better off without him.
Stop it, Kurt. You don't want your daughter to see you.
Bro, if you knew Kurt, bro, that's cap, bro. He did not believe that shit, bro. He did not believe that shit at all, bro.
Behaving like you're
I'm not on drugs. I'm tired.
Just days before, leading up to this moment, Kurt had disappeared, and so his wife had...
He had disappeared in his own house. In his own crib, he disappeared. They filed a missing person report. Whole time he was at his own house. Like...
filed a missing person report. She told police that Kurt was suicidal and that he had recently bought a shotgun. She explained that Kurt had left rehab in Los Angeles and now nobody knew where he was.
The last person who had seen him, I think they saw him at like a cafe or like they saw him somewhere in Seattle. I think that was like either like a day or two before he died.
She was worried about Kurt because he had a shotgun in his possession and she considered him suicidal.
So again, all the evidence pointed towards self-harm. Tragic, but it made sense. Kurt Cobain, voice of Generation X, dead at 27. Another member of the tragic 27 Club.
The traffic literally stopped in his hometown Seattle, and thousands gathered to pay homage and to comfort one another.
But okay, here's the problem. This wasn't a typical investigation. It was one of the fastest high-profile conclusions in Seattle's history, and one that ignored nearly every standard procedure.
Reporters from across the country flooded in to find out why this rich, successful musician would take his own life.
Almost immediately, questions started emerging. Something just didn't add up.
Alright, let's see.
Forensic pathologist.
There was tampering. Like, they didn't handle that shit the way they're supposed to.
Medical examiners. Homicide investigators. Anyone who understood how crime scenes work looked at the evidence and said the same thing. This doesn't make sense.
There's a couple key things that should have set off red flags to the police.
They say that there are 4 main factors that are very questionable. A lethal dose for most people is around 0.5 milligrams per liter. Kurt was found with 1.52 milligrams per liter.
That's 3 times, gang. And yes, I understand, bro. He had a tolerance for this shit. That I remember he had wrote in like one of his diaries or something that like he did like most people are usually good on like a $10 worth shot of heroin. That's good enough for most people. This dude had wrote in his shit about he did like a one shot for like $100. That shit did nothing to him. So yeah, he did have a tolerance for it. But bro, this ain't no tolerance, bro. This is, bro, 1.5, bro. Are you kidding me, bro? That's not tolerance, bro.
That's over 3 times the fatal amount. Forensic pathologists say he should have been unconscious within seconds, maybe even dead immediately.
We have not, in 18 years, found a single case where somebody could have the level of heroin in their body that Kurt did and still remain conscious.
According to the official story, Kurt injected himself and then calmly put away the drug kit and cigar box, picked up a gun, and pulled the trigger.
70 times the lethal dose for the average person, triple the lethal dose even for the most severe heroin addict. It would have incapacitated him. He would have been unconscious.
Yes, Kurt was indeed with a high tolerance, but that level, it's hard to believe.
For anybody to just continually say, well, he had a high tolerance level, it's possible he was... You're just denying and ignoring some real basic facts here.
Facts.
When fired, a 20-gauge shotgun kicks back violently. It was found resting across Kurt's chest, still partially...
Oh, also, bro, I'm pretty sure the bullets that was in the shotgun was like, they're like I think they're like, what's that shit called, bro? They're not rubber pellets, but they're not... It's like saying OJ didn't kill nobody. It's like, what's it called? The bullets that he was using weren't meant for like killing animals. So he had a hunting rifle. The shit that they found was a hunting rifle. But the bullets that was inside of it wasn't made to like actually kill the animal. It was just meant to like hurt. It was like it was a deterrence. It was more of a deterrence thing, but it was point blank. So obviously, like, this shit gonna go through either way, bro.
In his hands, and the shell was found on the opposite side of where it was supposed to be.
The exit chamber is clearly on right side if it was fired upside down as it was found.
Experts say this is almost impossible. Third, the fingerprints. None were found on the shotgun. None.
This shit get me mad just thinking about this shit, bro. Dead eyes, bro. No fingerprints, nowhere to be found, bro. Alright, buddy.
On the pen used to write the note, and none on the drug kit, not even Kurt's own fingerprints. Which is, to say the least, strange. Fourth, the note itself. In most of the note talks about leaving music, but the final words appear to be in a different handwriting and with a different pen pressure.
We believe Kurt did not write those last 4 lines. They're not in the same handwriting, and they've had multiple handwriting experts look at it, and they believe that those last 4 lines are not Kurt writing that.
The largest section of the note, or the initial part, talks so much about his relationship to music, and it's only the very small part of the note, the last 4 lines, that talks about his relationship to his family.
So some experts believe someone else added those final lines to make it look like a suicide note.
It might be nice to eventually start playing acoustic guitars and be thought of as a singer and a songwriter rather than a grunge rocker, you know, and sit down on a chair and play acoustic guitar like Johnny Cash.
The theory goes that he wanted to quit Nirvana, and that's what the note was for. Not to quit life, but to quit the band. But the biggest problem is that Seattle police barely investigated. They didn't properly interview Kurt Cobain's wife, Courtney Love. They didn't speak with friends or family beyond basic statements, didn't check credit card records or phone calls. Detective Cameron looked at the scene and closed it within hours, before the toxicology reports even came back.
As a homicide commander, I would not be making any proclamations that the case was a suicide without the evidence having been processed, the victimology, the medical legal process, toxicology. It's a death investigation.
These questions were never properly answered, and because the official investigation ended so quickly, people around the world started investigating themselves. Filmmakers, musicians, journalists ended so quickly, people around the world started investigating themselves.
This dude died like 2 days after he admitted to Courtney Love, his wife, asking him to do the deed. This is the dude.
Filmmakers, musicians, journalists, fans all tried to figure out what really happened.
This case is not going to go away. It hasn't gone away for 20 years.
And that was when things started to happen, because people found stuff. And one name in particular kept coming up. Before we go any deeper, I want to give a shout out to Higgsfield, who made this video possible.
With a man who didn't even like writing melodies, and I watched him write Rape Me and Dumb in 20 minutes, and it really pissed me off.
Courtney Love was Kurt Cobain's wife and the mother of his child. On April 3rd, Kurt Cobain went missing, so she hired a private investigator to find him, Tom Grant.
The current affair, stay away from that.
Yeah, this was the dude. Okay, now it's all coming back to me. Okay, so this is what happened, bro. Courtney Love hired this dude, Tom Grant, to go and find Kurt, go investigate. Where the fuck is this dude at? When everything came out about him, like, you know what I'm saying, offing himself and he died, that's when he did his own private investigation. And that's when he actually ended up coming to the theory that, oh wait, Courtney Love might have did it. And that's this dude at the beginning. This guy. That's him. That's the real life dude. And he had investigated this shit and he was like, bro, he did not kill him, bro. It was this girl right here. And so that's what I think he wrote a book. He made a movie. I don't know what the fuck. He made like a documentary. I don't know.
Courtney Love was Kurt Cobain's wife and the mother of his child. On April 3rd, Kurt Cobain went missing.
I'm Tom Grant, how are you?
And from the very first phone call, he gets an odd feeling about her. Grant is a former LA County Sheriff's detective. He's worked on hundreds of cases, and something about this whole situation just doesn't sit right with him.
Something was going on that was out of the ordinary, and there was more to this than what I was being told.
Because Courtney's story has inconsistencies, details that don't match up. For example, when Courtney filed a missing persons report, she used someone else's name on the form.
She filed it in the name of Wendy O'Connor, Kurt Cobain's mother.
Courtney told him to check Kurt's credit card, but never mentioned that he just bought shotgun shells. She claimed she hadn't heard from Kurt, but phone records later showed that wasn't true. So Grant does what any good investigator does. He starts recording everything.
Do you still have all the notes, the note from Rome and the original note here?
Detective Cameron gave me back the note from Rome, and he said, I would destroy this if I were you. It's not going to do you any good.
So you got rid of the original note?
The Rome incident is, they had, the Rome incident is that he tried to overdose in Rome. Like, they was on tour in Rome. No. They was on tour. They was on tour. I forgot where. I think they were like in Germany or something. And they had like a 2-week break from the tour. And so he met up with his wife, who was also on tour, because she's the lead singer of a Hole. That was her band. They meet up in Rome, and they had like this big ass argument in Rome and shit. And then they found him overdosed, unconscious. I forgot who. I think his guitarist found him like that. And they had went to the hospital, and then everybody found out that he had overdosed.
Burned it.
But the suicide note from Rome you burnt?
Yeah.
Tom goes to speak with Courtney's attorney, Rosemary Carroll, and Carroll tells him something unexpected.
That suicide note is a pastiche of things that he had written before and of someone copying his handwriting.
Tom, along with many others, began theorizing that Courtney Love might have actually taken part in Kurt Cobain's death. But why?
And it's a motive that's as old as time.
I'm gonna tell y'all why, bro. Well, I'm gonna give you one reason as to why. Prior to his death, Kurt had wrote Courtney Love out of his will. So y'all know the will, you know, when someone passed away, who gets the money and shit? He wrote his own wife out of the will, and he wanted to get a divorce from Courtney Love. Kurt wanted to divorce his wife. Kurt wanted to divorce his wife, and he wrote the bitch out the will. She didn't get no money, nothing, bro.
And this was a great.
But guess what? Right before he goes to turn it in, he's dead, bro. Like, come on, bro. Like, man, my bro deserved better, bro. My guy deserved better, bro.
Deal of money. Kurt was worth millions of dollars. If there's a divorce in the works, Courtney's going to get half of everything at best. If he ends up committing suicide, Courtney ends up with everything.
According to multiple sources, Kurt was planning to divorce her and rewrite his will.
So here's a woman that came into this man's life and in less than a 3-year period owned everything that he had accumulated through his own talents.
Her behavior in those final weeks raised even more questions. 2 weeks before Kurt died, Courtney called 911. She claimed Kurt was locked in a room with a gun.
Courtney Cobain told officers Kurt had locked himself in a room and that he was going to kill himself.
Police rushed to the Lake Washington house, and when they arrived, Kurt opened the door. He told them he wasn't suicidal at all. He said he was trying to get away from Courtney and that he didn't have a gun. When police questioned Courtney about the 911...
Like, come on. Yo, the dude just hated his wife, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like, bro, the dude just hated his wife, bro. Like, straight up, bro. Like, you gonna fault a man for wanting to divorce his own wife, bro. Like, bro. I'm telling you, bro. Shit is crazy, bro.
One call, she admitted that she'd made the whole thing up.
This shit writes itself, bro. Like, I'm not making none of this shit up, bro. Deadass.
Let me give it. Tell you, where's the booze? Sure the dog won't get out and attack us here?
2 years
You go this story.
after Kurt Cobain died, a punk rock musician named El Duce went public with an explosive claim. El Duce said that in late 1993, Courtney Love offered him $50,000 to kill Kurt.
We're talking about Courtney Love contacted you to kill Kurt Cobain.
Yeah, I was hanging out in the rock shop. A shop in Hollywood.
For the record, El Duce wasn't exactly credible.
People might think you're not the most reliable witness.
Well, that's too bad.
His entire career was built on being shocking and offensive.
How do you describe Mentor's music? What is it to you?
Male chauvinism rock.
He had everything to gain from making wild claims about one of the most famous women in rock music. But at the same time, he passed a polygraph test about these claims. So, just saying. 8 days after giving a videotaped interview, El Duce was struck by a train in Riverside, California. The death was ruled accidental, and he was drunk and wandered onto the tracks. But the timing, well, it was suspicious.
Please welcome, finish off the show, Hulk, ladies and gentlemen.
In the 1990s,
I never heard of no dude dying from getting hit by a train, bro. Like,
Courtney Love fronted her own band, Hole. The bassist was Kristen Pfaff. 2 months after Kurt died, Kristen all of a sudden decided to leave Seattle. She quit the band. She was packing to move back to Minnesota, and according to...
Oh, so this was like the woman that Kurt actually wanted to be with. I'm gonna keep a buck. My man was probably cheating on his wife. I'm gonna keep a buck with this girl right here. Keep a buck. Keep a buck. A year after Kurt's death, guess who ends up dying too? She died, I think, exactly a year after he died, bro. I'm not bullshitting, bro. I'm pretty sure. Oh, never mind. Someone had died like the same, like a year. Oh, you know who it was? It was a guy from a different band.
All of a sudden decided to leave Seattle. She quit the band. She was packing to move back to Minnesota, and according to her friends, Kristen had just gotten clean and sober and was excited about starting fresh. But the day before she was going to leave, she was found dead in her bathtub.
I said, I've got to go. My bass player just died. And went over there and saw her, and I was like, fucking fuck.
The fact that Kristen died, I was like, what? Are you fucking kidding?
The conspiracy theory suggests Kristen knew something about Kurt's death. 3 people connected to the story, all dead within 2 years. So what actually happened here? Just a few years ago, a person surfaced. A person who claimed that he saw Kurt Cobain just minutes before he died.
I did not hear about this, bro. This is new information to me, bro. I'm gonna keep it up. So I'm reacting to this shit with y'all, bro.
Joseph Burns sits in front of a camera, 30 years of guilt written across his face. He's about to tell a story he's kept silent about since 1994.
Hi, my name is Joseph Burns, and I was there at the house on Green Lake when Kurt Cobain was murdered.
Joseph Burns was part of the Seattle music scene in the early 90s. He played in several grunge and punk bands around the city. He met the members of Nirvana around 1989, and Kurt Cobain actually loved his music, so they became close. By April 1994, Burns and his girlfriend were dealing drugs, and Kurt was one of their clients.
He was a rocker. He was a punk dude. He was a biker at one time, and he had some felonies. He was involved in the drug game, different types of drugs. But that's part of the story with Kurt Cobain.
This is Chris Todd, an investigative journalist who spent years investigating the death of Kurt Cobain.
You know, this is who was at the house. Most of these people were drug users and dealers.
Here he's referring to the guest list of the people who were at
I'll never deny that, bro. Kurt, that brother was a drug addict. I'll never deny that shit, bro. That brother was, It was pretty bad, too. It was pretty bad. I'm not gonna lie.
His house at the night of the murder. And one of those guys was Joseph Burns.
I went to the kitchen to grab something, and Kurt was there.
That night, the house was full of people. Musicians, dealers, friends. Kurt had just flown back from rehab. Around 2 a.m. on April 3rd, 3 men arrived.
Not in any car. Apparently got dropped off in the driveway or something.
Dylan Carlson, Mark Lanigan, and someone Burns identifies as Danny.
3 men show up at the house. They were not there to party.
Wait. Dylan Carlson... I know Dylan Carl. He was one of Kurt's friends.
They were on some type of weird mission, and that's how Joseph describes that.
He followed them downstairs, and what he witnessed next was an assault. The men grabbed Kurt. They held him down. Burns watched how they forcibly injected Kurt with massive amounts of the drug.
I don't know if I believe this, bro. I'm not gonna lie, bro. You telling me 3 men showed up to a party, basically. 3 men showed up to a party. No one did nothing about it. No one remembers this. And saw this dude get injected with a ton of heroin, bro. Alright, bro. I don't know about this one, bro. I'm gonna get butt. I might have to call cap on this one, bro. I'm gonna get butt.
And that's when he was trying to get Kurt with this other guy to go back upstairs with them.
Then they dragged Kurt's body out of the basement toward the greenhouse above the garage. Burns didn't follow them.
By the way, this new AI shit is ridiculous, bro. What the fuck is this, bro?
Into the greenhouse. He stayed outside with his girlfriend.
He sees movement up there, and then he hears a gun blast.
It wasn't just like a regular gunshot from a pistol or a rifle. It was as loud as a regular gunshot.
Callie Dewitt, Kurt's assistant, allegedly told Burns to leave, and that's what he did.
She wanted to get out of there, and we finally left there.
And he stayed silent for 30 years. So why come forward now?
Yeah, I don't know if I believe that one. I'm gonna keep it buck. I don't know if I believe that one.
Well, Mark Lanigan died in 2022. Danny died in 2024. Burns himself says he's telling the story now before he dies too. Before the truth is lost forever. He contacted investigator Chris Todd, who helped him write a book about that night. We have to be careful and mention that this account has never been verified. Burns hasn't testified under oath. Seattle police haven't interviewed him. He's describing an event from 30 years ago while admitting he was high and hadn't slept in days. The men he's accusing are either dead or haven't been charged with anything. But it's also the only eyewitness account claiming Kurt Cobain was murdered. And his claims do match the forensic questions that were never answered. The possible heroin level, the staged suicide scene, the missing investigation. So more than 30 years later, what do we really know? This is what we know for certain. On March 4th, 1994, 4 weeks before his death, Kurt overdosed in Rome.
Nirvana frontman Kurt Cobain, who slipped into a coma and was hospitalized in Rome, Italy. His condition was apparently aggravated when he consumed champagne on top of a prescription painkiller called Rohypnol.
Courtney Love called it a suicide attempt, but the doctor who treated Kurt in Rome denied the fact that Kurt had swallowed 60 pills. To him, it didn't look like it was a suicide attempt. A few weeks later, Kurt went to rehab in Los Angeles. He stayed there for 2 days and then disappeared. Days later, he was found dead with a massive amount of heroin in his system. Could this have been suicide? Absolutely. Kurt had allegedly attempted it before. He was depressed, so he fled treatment and he left a goodbye note. We know that Kurt struggled with severe depression his entire life. He also had chronic stomach pain that he could never get diagnosed or treated.
And trying to eat your 3 meals a day and just concentrating and just crying at times, just like, ugh.
Like, that's why he was so skinny. He had like this weird stomach problem. Like, he literally could not eat. Like, he tried to eat, he would throw it up. And he had like this really intense pain in his stomach for like, bro, this shit went on for like 5 or 6 years, bro. That's why he was so skinny.
I'm in pain all the time, you know? And being on tour was a lot worse too, you know, it made it even worse.
Kurt had multiple stays in rehab. His journals were filled with dark thoughts, feelings of worthlessness, and despair. He wrote and recorded a song literally called I Hate Myself and I Want to Die. But what about the other theory? Could it have been murder? Well, the evidence suggests it's possible. The heroin level that should have killed him before he could use the gun, the missing fingerprints, the suspicious behavior from people around him, the lack of any real investigation, and now an eyewitness claiming he watched it happen.
I was there when Kurt Cobain was murdered. And
there's a principle in philosophy called Occam's razor. It says the simplest explanation is usually the correct one, and the simplest explanation here is indeed that Kurt Cobain killed himself.
When you see the art, I mean, a lot of his messages are as plain as day. I'm not even going to say what they are, but you can see it.
But yet, these are legitimate unanswered questions. Questions that could have been answered with a proper investigation. Questions that simply weren't asked because the Seattle Police Department closed the case within hours.
There are times on stage when you simulate your husband's death. To some people, that's really terrible taste.
And I guess the most controversial question, did Courtney Love orchestrate Kurt's murder? I think one has to be very careful before one makes accusations like that.
I've never said that Courtney Love pulled the trigger. I do believe that there were people involved in a conspiracy that resulted in the death of Kurt Cobain.
There's simply not enough evidence to conclude either way. Did someone in the house maybe kill Kurt that night? It's also possible. Joseph Burns claims he witnessed it, but his history of being a junkie makes his story harder to trust. He claims others were there, and we need them to come forward.
You know, when Kurt died, I remember the next day and thinking, I still get to live. So I'm gonna live every day like it's my last one.
The other members of Nirvana have mostly kept quiet about any of these theories.
My last conversation with him was like, if he didn't do Lollapalooza, it was gross. Like, Billy would make 11.5 million, and it was the last thing he wanted to hear. He didn't care. He didn't care. And I got totally put up to it.
In the end, Courtney Love did indeed inherit everything. And whether that was the motive or just the tragic outcome of losing a wealthy spouse, we can't say for sure. But what we can say is this: proper investigation would have answered these questions. It would have cleared up all the inconsistencies, and there would have been no need for journalists to investigate or to speculate. And I believe that's the real tragedy of this story.
That's tough, man. That is.
This was a different one, and a bit controversial one. So we want to know.
Look, man, it's kind of hard to say. Look, he kind of right. Like, you can't really throw accusations at people, but at the same time, bro, shit, someone's lying, bro. Someone is lying, bro. Like, there's too many like inconsistencies, bro, for me to sit here and be like, yeah, the dude killed himself, bro. Like, deadass. Like, I remember when who was it? There was another controversial death. I forgot who it was. I think it was JFK. JFK. Y'all know what JFK, and like there's all these conspiracies about like, oh, cool, like what happened with JFK? Bro, the dude got shot, bro. Yeah, bro. But shit, I mean, W video, man. W video.